Hello guys, this is Mike from ICODROPS, and today my guests are Andy Lee and Michael Nguyen from Eloncity. Hello Andy, hello Michael.
Good evening, Mike, and good morning, Andy.
It's meeting you guys.
Nice to meet you. Both of you have rich and varied experience, so could you please introduce yourself and tell us what you've been doing before Eloncity and how did you get in blockchain industry?
Since 2014, I've been working on the energy storage system. And then so we were thinking that we can use energy storage system to store the renewable energy and then power the home. So for past 4 years, we tried many different models. We tried to have the individual users only equipment. We tried to work with utilities that purchasing or invest in the equipment and then installed at the people's home. But unfortunately, none of those models worked significantly well. And then just in the change that we learned about the technology called blockchain, right? There's a possibility that we might get some people to trade in energy with one another without the middleman utility to be specific. And so that's how we get started blockchain technology and see how that can be used to support the self-sufficiency.
I work in California in the last 3 to 4 years on energy solution to address the energy challenge in California specifically, and also in the U.S. in general. As you are aware, our energy system infrastructure face a lot of fundamental significant issue, and we need to go from a centralized approach to decentralized approach. But however, our effort in the last few years, we were not very successful. I mean, I have been working with the Public Utility Commission in California and the utility company in California, but we're missing some of the critical enabling block is to allow a true decentralization of resource and share assets. Until recently, the advent, the development of blockchain, I think that is so damn fundamental. So now blockchain will couple with distributed solar generation battery to bring the community together and allow them to participate, to share resource, to exchange energy in a very confident and secure manner. So that is a first critical thing. And the second one is that a lot of policy people are really trying to figure out how do we mass market the decentralized and renewable energy technology. We try a lot of policy design, a lot of program design, but it's not so successful. So right now we look at the cryptocurrency as a possible catalyst for linking energy consumer with the solution provider more efficiently, not only just in California, but hopefully as technology develop around the world, this universal crypto token allows to link together. So I think two things: the linking of energy consumer and renewable energy solution provider across the world with the digital crypto token, and also the blockchain to enable that trusted collaboration. So this is why these two components are so critical in the Eloncity model development.
Speaking about Eloncity, there is still not so much information available to general public, as the angel round is on and private sale and main sale has not started yet. So I hope this interview might become a great opportunity for our community to get first-hand information about Eloncity. Before we proceed to discussing the project itself, could you give your overall view of the current situation in energy sector worldwide? What are the most important problems it faces today, and why decentralization and blockchain technology could be the solution?
It hasn't been years that we want to develop in renewable energy. We know that's in our future. We also know this in the conventional energies and that cause the geopolitical conflict all over the world. The infrastructures we have today, it's just inadequate. The grid network was designed close to 130 years ago. You probably heard the story about Thomas Edison and Nikola and Tesla. Their fight is over the DC and AC, right? Today, the only reason we're still using AC is just because of 130 years ago. There's no better way to raise the voltage so then electricity can go to a longer distance, and then the economy of the scales can be achieved. But today, looking into technology development, we have distributed energy resources and readily available. And then we produce in the DC voltage. We are using the DC appliances. Why are we still counting on the conventional technology? And then specifically with the ever rising network delivery cost. That's the reason why we started. Well, there are some simple facts that we can share with a lot of people. No, we are not interested in becoming another technology. We are actually hoping that everybody can join the program and then helping to change the infrastructure. So the idea of the Eloncity is to make the infrastructures readily available, eliminating the distribution in between, so then the equipment can be cost effectively purchased by the community and better communities. Energy can be very, very affordable and locally produced in the community itself, and making them available 24/7.
You're probably familiar with centralized system. Centralized systems usually are very efficient, very effective if the environment is very stable. Unfortunately, in today's world, our modern life, the combination of the climate-induced weather event that really cause a lot of disruption, natural disaster, explosive population growth in a certain area, and so on. Those things are considered to be quite abruptive to the point where the centralized system really lack the flexibility to respond to that very effectively, reliably, and in a very cost-effective manner. So not just us, but government, institution, research around the world, looking at how do we break a decentralized system to more distributed, they call distributed. For Eloncity, we go a step further, we call decentralization. Distributed doesn't mean when you take resource in a central location and you disperse it out. But we think that's not sufficient, because when you disperse those assets, you also need to change how you operate. So that means ownership, and that's where the term decentralization come in. But come back to the issue is that decentralized, when you disperse resource, where you produce energy, when you consume, you tend to have a more reliable system, and also cheaper, more reliable. And this is also preferable if you use renewable energy. So now not only you have more reliable, you're more cost effective, it's also cleaner and safer. So this is really a vexing problem people are trying to solve. So Eloncity is an attempt to put forth a solution to solve that problem. And that is the reason for Eloncity model and development.
Could you give us the basic idea and the concept of the project? What actual value does it bring to this world?
Renewable energy is not 24 hours a day, right? The sun shines usually it's about 2-3 hours is before and after the noon. Winds generally blows in the middle of the night, and when the ground temperatures shows the differences, right? Neither of this in time, specifically in Europe and America, where the manufacturing activities in the daytime is not as intensive as Asia, then a lot of this energy go wasted, and then they go wasted in a very different way. It's somehow suppressing the so-called the base load, the power plant. Okay, so what happens is even when the government is setting out the rules to buy all this and distributed and renewable, or maybe even centralized renewable energy from the solar farm and the wind farm, won't be able to buy electricity from the so-called base load power plant. And then, well, when you have the energy as in the pump, when you have the renewable energy as a complementary, no problem, right? But wait until like at 4:30 in the afternoon when the sun goes down, and then the wind doesn't start yet, right? Then people are coming home, and then suddenly you have a huge rise in terms of the demand. You don't have an energy. Traditionally, we solve that problem is by using the natural gas to turn on, because the natural gas turbine can produce the energies generally is much faster. I mean, because the turbines can reach an optimal conditions within an hour, so you don't have to burn the extra fuel, right? For the past maybe even 10 years, California is each year spending billions of dollars to building the so-called gas and peaking. These are the power plants that are extremely expensive. And then by the way, it's only used 4 hours a day. And that makes it even more expensive, right? Because of the shorter times into making the return. So that increase in the cost of electricity dramatically, and not only on the generator side, okay? I mean, the same issues appears on the network as well. So we have in this situation, we no longer in the society that we wake up early to work and we go sleep until when the sun goes down. And then our infrastructure, the highways, the company system, all this is somehow the global synchronize us into a set hours that we do things together. And that creates a huge so-called peak. Okay, in the United States, we observe the peak is roughly about 4:30 until about 8:30. In Asia, we observe that about 6 o'clock into 9 o'clock. So we have the fluctuation, the specifically very intensive and extremes on the network. You create a lot of issues. You probably will have to provision your network based on the peak load. While during the normal hours, and your network is going to be underused, and then naturally the returns on the investment will look poorly. So well, that's in the idea that if we want renewable energy, and then if we want to have the lower cost and infrastructures, we have to change something. That's why we're searching for that way to change how we support and we supply and use the energy.
Technology like solar, PV, battery, and all those things. We hear a lot about them and we see them. But the question is, how do you proliferate that to market-wide adoption? Every household, every business adopted that. There's a lot of economic barrier, a lot of issue there. And if everybody buy it, it becomes quite expensive. And you don't, like Andy said, you don't always use them, so your assets is underutilized. So in the Eloncity project, what we essentially take decentralized renewable generation resource like solar, PV, battery, and then we put on top of that a layer of a blockchain energy exchange platform. These are both hardware and software built on top of our energy storage system and also our scheduler that allow people to begin to share this resource. So we take a commonly available solar battery, we put a blockchain layer to that to enable a platform where people can trust and collaborate and share resource. So this is really, and maybe we might be oversimplifying the Eloncity project a bit, but that's essentially, that is what we do. We really try to use technology to create a collaborative platform so that we can effectively proliferate technology that has been around, but somehow not widely adopted yet.
Let's assume I'm a user who wants to join Eloncity when it's ready. How should I do it and what equipment do I need?
So your question, Mike, is if Eloncity is ready, what do you need to buy? What do you need to get so that you can enjoy Eloncity technology? So let me answer it this way. if you want to enjoy Eloncity technology, you can buy technologies already commercialized by Eloncity partner like PalmQ, like Cree, like few other people who produce both intelligent battery system. They provide solar, rooftop solar. They provide rooftop wind turbine. They provide DC appliance. All that's available today. As a matter of fact, all of those technology has been developed by our partner in the last 4 years in the stage one of the Eloncity history. Now, but if we just give you that, you just have at your house. I think you only realize half of the potential benefit because you have all this renewable, but then all the costs you have to bear by yourself. And if you happen to go somewhere on vacation and you're not at home to use it, the excess energy just to sit there in your battery and not really doing any benefit. To really truly exploit the investment that you make, you need a community. So this is the second phase of Eloncity. We try to go from individual household or building energy self-sufficient. We try to connect those together in a community so that way they can begin to exchange energy. And when they do that, they can help to pay, to accelerate the return on investment. For example, like I say, if I am on a business trip for 2 weeks and I don't really use energy at home, but my neighbor has a lot of kids and he might be able to buy from me cheaper than he could buy from a utility. So Eloncity will provide the communication, the collaboration, the exchange platform so that he can sell his energy. He can buy energy from me and I can sell to him. So that is when, for your case, now you can really, not only you enjoy the benefit of distributed energy, but you also help to lower your cost. And also vice versa, when you have a big party, a lot of people visit you and your own solar panel does not produce enough. It happened maybe a few guys 3 to 4 streets down in your neighborhood happen to be away somewhere, are not using, you can buy from him. So that is in phase 2. So the phase 2, we need to bring the community element into the energy technology picture. And that community component, I think right now, based on all the research I have done in the last few years, can only really make it easy if we have a trust platform that we can exchange energy and we trust each other, especially when you trade energy with somebody that you may not see. You want to make sure that if he take your energy from your battery, he will pay it, and vice versa. Once he take your energy, you get your payment. So you need some kind of really a secure financial system, but you need to do that very efficiently. You're not going to spend like $1 million, have an ERP system or SAP system to run a neighborhood energy exchange. That's just ridiculous. That's not realistic. So a public consensus-based block platform will allow you to realize the benefit. So that is what you need to truly enjoy the Eloncity solution.
So Eloncity is going to have its own ECT token, as I understand. Could you give more details on token economic model? How is it going to be used in the system?
I'd like to add on, just like the last question we replied to you, if you just buy all this beautiful technology, solar, battery, and you use by yourself, that's great, but it's pretty expensive by yourself. And on the other hand, for people who really need to do it, to use it, but cannot afford it, then they cannot have access to that. So a more effective way is that if you can share this resource with people who cannot afford to buy themselves and vice versa, and as they use, they pay you. So it's a benefit for both sides. So to accelerate energy decentralization, we need to enable collaborative environment. So to do this, we need to encourage people to use equipment that actually can share with each other. And when I say share, it's just not at not just a polite social, but technology design allow to them to share and exchange in a way that they feel confident. So the technology has to be into the solar panel, the battery, your EV, so that way you can share and get reimbursement fairly. So you need to encourage the market to use those share equipment. You need to encourage manufacturer, like what Andy say, encourage people to use those equipment. You have to encourage the manufacturer to develop and produce and introduce to the market those equipment that can be shared, can be used in a collaborative manner. And then the third layer is that you need somehow to connect this group of producer and energy consumer together. So that way you can accelerate this whole market transformation. So back to the first layer, to encourage people to use this, And it just described to you the token the ECT can use as incentive. So every time they use an equipment that allow them to share the resource, they will get some token. And I mean, and he'd explain to you more detail when you get a paper that provide you more detail. But essentially, if you as a user buy and use an equipment that can be shared with others, you will get some reward. So that is the adoption by the consumer. Now for the producer, if you produce product that can be shared, we call that Eloncity token protocol. It's a protocol allow you to share. So if your equipment is compliant to that, that means when customer buy this equipment, they can share, exchange energy with each other very easily. If you want to produce and manufacture this, the foundation, we are a non-profit. In the last 4 years, we have spent quite a bit of money to develop all of this blockchain technology to fit onto the hardware and the software. We will provide this technology royalty-free to this manufacturer, so they don't have to spend the next 1 to 2 years to do it themselves. So that's a benefit for them. They can just take this technology royalty-free. They do it because our objective is to have as many product options in the market for the consumer. So now that is on the supply side, the equipment side. Now the final step is that we want to link the consumer and the producer together. So we hope that with the ECT, a unified token that linking, let's say, a community in Moscow, in some suburban Moscow, to a suburban in California, to a village somewhere in Nigeria, to Vietnam, to Haiti. Regardless of your geographical location, your political boundary, your whatever you have, if you are using the same universal token, now you can buy this exceptional technology either from Switzerland, from a software from Russia, a special hardware from China. So certainly we have a dispersed, disconnected village and community. Now they're all connected. And the benefit is that they have access to the best technology that's been developed around the world. And that will help to lower the cost. So coming back to treating ECT, economic role is fundamentally to encourage adoption of collaborative equipment. Second, to encourage manufacturer to produce and introduce it to the market equipment that can be shared, can facilitate collaboration. And thirdly, to connect both this group, consumer and producer, together in one global market. So that is the role of the ECT.
Let's discuss your roadmap. According to the information on the website, it begins in 2014. At what stage is the project right now, and what are your plans after the ICO? What are the most important milestones we should be waiting for?
For the past 4 years, we designed an entire energy storage system. We have all the way from the power conversion system, the MPPT controller, the low voltage wind turbine controllers, and the batteries management system, hierarchicals, and then supporting multiple different type of the battery cells, the DC bus, and the Ethernet like switching bus that basically help and eliminate it in the peak. Your neighborhood, you don't necessarily have to provision the network is based on the peak load. Those are undergoing very well. For your information, the DC bus is not, and we invented that. However, we try to use the 1500 volt, which is being used massively for the large solar farm. The 1500 volt is not rocket science. The connectors and the technologies are massively produced. They are affordable technology. The key part that we're working is actually that trading system. How do we get an EV to charge it from one microgrid into the other? And again, the double spending issues, right? The implementation of the plasma.
Let's just to explain our roadmap, Mike. Maybe just wanted to revisit the target outcome. If we're successful, what would the future look like? If we're successful, what we will see is a lot more people, family, office, building, shopping center, produce energy where they are consumed. And hopefully they use technology that is harvest the sun, the wind is clean, so it's safe. So hopefully they harvest renewable energy to produce where they are, so they can consume, so they save their money, it's clean, it's all this good thing. So that's the overarching outcome we seek. So to arrive at this, Eloncity is really look at this future, the roadmap to this future in 3 phases. First phase is to build the key technology component that allow you to produce energy locally where you are and to consume to satisfy everything that you need. So that's phase 1. Phase 2 is to allow these different family, offices, building connect to each other so they can share. So that way they can have more optimal balance of energy supply. So that's phase 2. Phase 3 is that once we demonstrate that you connect them in a few pilot sites, then we want to expand that all around the world. So that's phase 3. So phase 1 is like you mentioned earlier, you look at our roadmap 2014 and so on. So 2014 to about early this year or late last year, that's phase 1. Eloncity together with our partner develop all the key technology allow family and building to harvest renewable energy and produce energy locally right where they are to satisfy all their needs. So we kind of accomplished that already. So that's already under our belt. In phase 2 is that we do take those technology and integrate with the blockchain and the ECT so that we can truly create a collaborative community. But this is quite new. We have to demonstrate that in a few pilot sites in several continents around the world, in North America, Asia, and maybe all the selected continents, so that we can truly demonstrate the universal application of the Eloncity model. So that hopefully will start immediately as soon as ICO complete. That would take place for the next 18 to 24 months. So that's phase 2. And hopefully by the end of that, we will publish the white paper and maybe case study white paper, and hopefully what like Andy mentioned earlier, like a recipe cookbook, so that community around the world, they can take this and replicate that in their own community. So that will be after phase 2. That will be in phase 3.
Eloncity is definitely going to change the world. When it comes to changing the world, the team is very important. So could you tell us about the key members of the Eloncity team, their background and competences?
I work in a Cisco system to design the backbone network that's in Europe and Asia and in the United States. I used to work for Cisco system. After that, I started working for the content. That's how I first got into how the information was delivered, optimized into people or into the access network. After that, I went to work for Alibaba Group to design the data center. My team was in the amazing team that we built in our server, we built it in our switches. We built an entire data center based on the direct current that reduced the conversion loss by as much as 33%. When I left in the Alibaba in 2011, and then I started focusing on how I can make the network better. That's how I eventually led myself to build the energy storage system. So we have a very decent team engineers that mostly from the cloud and cloud computing industry, from the power electronics industry.
My background is in IT. I have been in that field for many years, but about 8 to 10 years ago, I came to the energy industry because my wish is not to invent another widget. My wish is once I'm done, I will accomplish something that is I will look back and I'll be proud, and that will have a positive impact for my children and my grandchildren. So I believe energy sustainability is important. It's not only for people who can afford them, but especially for people who are low income, who cannot afford it. So this is really something really inspired me to pursue the Eloncity project. But besides from myself and Andy, you asked about our team. Our core team is much bigger, but maybe we have 8 core people. They have expertise in mega data center. They have expertise in new energy technology, in nuclear power. They have technology in smart tree technology communication, which is quite important in when you do trading, local energy exchange and communication is quite important. And then we have a software engineer because a lot of code we are developing. Yeah, so software, and then people specialize in testing. As you can imagine, we have battery, solar, DC system. So we really need an ability to ensure our system integration work together. So those we get core member in each of those areas, from software to right down to advanced energy, including nuclear. But we hope for us to move away, but at least he gives us a background on that. And then on our advisor, we have about 8 key people. There are people like Howard Choi, who is working extensively with local government in California and Southern California, because for us to make this transition, we cannot just work among ourselves with the private industry. We need to look to government agency as our partner. So he is a lead on that. We got Michael Nguyen, who is really an expert in blockchains. He's an advisor, a lot of blockchain technology and crypto economic. There we got like Brian Allen. He's from the Jet Propulsion Laboratory. Really look at advanced technology and how do you use advanced technology integrated into society. We got people in DC power system, because Andy talked about Eloncity in a perfect application. Not only we get all this wonderful gadget in your home, but also the entire microgrid will be on the DC backbone, so it's a lot more efficient. So we have expert both on our R&D team and our advisor, our expert in DC power system. We have people in engineering, construction, standardization, because to proliferate Eloncity, not only we just have to adopt by a few cities, but we need to proliferate across the whole country, the whole region. So standardization is quite important to mobilize the market. So we got people in standard body, and then we got people like Robert Fortunato, who actually designed his own house, a self-sufficient house, completely generate all the energy that he used, because we want people who have hand-on experience to really provide insightful input for us. So we got people like that, and we have another person who is really strong in blockchain. As a matter of fact, his team helped us to implement open chain access protocol, because in the future, Eloncity is not just a technology developed by the foundation, but hopefully it will be developed by our partner, whether it is another battery manufacturer or an EV charger or a smart in thermostat, whatever you do, hopefully they come, whatever blockchain technology they use, hopefully those applications will be compatible to Eloncity blockchain platform. So we got advisor help us to develop this universal access protocol, so allow us to interface with different technology platform. And then we got people like who just concerned about like a fireman, who just concerned about safety, because at the end of the day, it's not about like wonderful having a blue sky, but what happens if you have an earthquake, if you have a disaster, you want to make sure that the local energy system is there to protect and make sure that the safety agency staff is there to service your community. So we got people like on fire, like firemen, police on our board of advice to really help us to really take into account the security issue of a future energy system. So hopefully it is broad, it cut across not just blockchain or not just battery, but cut across the entire spectrum, from technology into government partnership, into people who actually use it on a daily basis. So we hope this broad group of talent really help us to begin down this journey. And I think it's very exciting ahead of us.
There are already a number of competitors in blockchain for energy space, including such projects as PowerLedger, WePower, Electrify Asia. Could you compare Eloncity to these projects and tell us what are the main features that make it unique and different from these projects?
I think there's many excellent energy projects out there, and we look at them, and I think they've done quite an incredible job. One thing that we would like to add to them, hopefully in the future they could become our partner, but the key thing is that to change the energy infrastructure of the world, it's not just simple technology. You need to really consider a full spectrum of technology, the financial, economic part of that, the social community development. You might have the best technology, but if you don't understand how to tailor those technology to lively people, you may not get great adoption. And the regulatory issue barrier, because energy industry is a heavily regulated area. And this one area that I think, as we look to our competitor, which they do really incredible technology, but we see the missing dimension. I think without those dimensions, I don't think they can really transform the market. So in the Eloncity model, we recognize that we learn from what competitors do, but we include the other critical dimension, the community development, financial, engineering, and also the regulatory aspect to make sure that those dimensions are fully supportive and synergistic with the technology that we introduce. Those are really good energy projects, and we hope that in the future we will have a chance to collaborate with them.
And speaking about cooperation and partnerships, energy sector is pretty conservative, and it would be extremely difficult for one company to change the situation. Are you already planning any kind of partnerships with both in energy sector and in blockchain world?
Definitely, we're gonna work with a lot of those energy projects. As we indicated before, for the past 10, 20 years, and there must be $1 trillion spent already. Honestly, this is full of money. It's not gonna go anywhere. I mean, again, if you just simply take in a blockchain, you're trying to fix a problem, you're probably not going to go very far. You're probably only going to fix it built in the fields and prototype, and then it cannot be replicated elsewhere. Regarding the incumbency, the existing carrier, the existing utilities services provider. The strategies that we have is we're going to develop the AGF and the grid first, and where the network has a lot more higher cost to cover. And then some of the rural area, which is not covered by the grid completely. So we're going to develop in these areas until we have the potential to sit down with them, and then but then hopefully it's in all this in technology, all this microgrid, they already show them what we can do. So they're willing to say, when they're willing to learn from us and to build to use the same technologies on their services and area as well. That way, it's in the cooperation can be achieved.
We are, as we mentioned earlier, one of the key element we build into Eloncity blockchain is the universal open change access protocol. So that will allow all the blockchain party to develop application to interface with our, because we believe to change the world, we need everybody. And we just one of the member in this process. So in addition to the blockchain community, we are partnering with the hardware company, people who develop DC appliance, washing machine, DC refrigerator. We also collaborate with a major battery manufacturer. I'm not sure, Andy may later he can share with you, like biggest battery manufacturer in Asia, like CATL, LG, and other people. And then we also partner with PV manufacturer. So those are just technology. Now we also are working and talking with financial people, banking, because economic finance is important. We need the capital to really mobilize the market. So that's financial. And then at the same time, my background is pretty extensive in the community development and policy development. This is a part we continue to collaborate, not only with the existing utility, because we need to collaborate with them, share the assets infrastructure, but also to make sure we work well with them. Our power system, we interface seamlessly to existing grid. We have to collaborate with our regulatory agency. I work in California, so an agency like a Public Utility Commission or California Energy Commission, and then all the local government. So we really have to collaborate really across the board, not just limited to blockchain technology or not just limited to renewable energy, but really across the board, really a broad spectrum. This is mandatory if we really want to change the world to be a better place.
As you've mentioned it, let's take a look at the legal aspect. Do you think current legal framework is suitable for application of blockchain technology in dealing with consumers and prosumers and future legal challenges presented by blockchain? What could be improved in this sphere?
Our understanding right now, if it's just blockchain, because when we look at blockchains, actually there's two. There's blockchain and there is crypto token or cryptocurrency. Okay, so if we bifurcate that, it's just blockchain. Actually, blockchain is not a problem. A lot of government in target market that we're looking at, they don't have a problem because blockchain's advantage is that it's transparent, it's immutable. Nobody can manipulate that. So it's really a trusted ledger. It's really auditable. So it's really incredible, a helpful tool for a shared economy, and they're very transparent. Everybody can look and track that. So I don't think blockchain is a major challenge for us. To us, the challenge more is that if we inadvertently cause misunderstanding and say that we create another currency, okay, with crypto, let's say ECT, if we cause that misunderstanding, then I think we're going to run into a lot of problems. But hopefully, we will not cause a confusion, and that's not our intent. Yeah. So back to your question, blockchain, I think it is good because it is a very tractable audit ledger, which I think good for the government if they will collaborate with us. They want to see us. But on the other hand, we just need to be sensitive how we use a utility token for people to access our service without inadvertently cross a line and create another currency to replace a fiat. We hope we're not to make that mistake.
For many years, energy was one of the most valuable resources. That may be one of the reasons why, to the present day, in many countries, energy sector is heavily regulated, monopolized, and openly or behind the scenes controlled by the government. That leads to inefficiency and non-transparent tariffs. Do you think blockchain technology in general and Eloncity in particular could change this situation, and how?
Definitely. Historically, it's because of an incumbencies and want to maintain their monopoly. They use very, very roughly manages rate and infrastructure, right? Michael can comment on the repairs and issues. So these prices are not transparent at all. That leads into the unwise use of an energy because people just don't understand. How the energy come from, and then why they are so expensive in the one time and then the others. Blockchain, on the other hand, is making this all transparent. Yes, and I believe nobody's gonna watch in their ledgers 24 hours a day, right? But in some instances, they will look into when they wanted to, and then the moment they see this, and then they learn and all this and details and behind, they will appreciate to use energy more effectively. They will appreciate our capability to produce the energy locally. I believe within the transparency, within the mind that set out to not to build another empire or another monopoly, we will win the support so that one day within the blockchain, right, or the technology, and then the future blockchain technology, right, infrastructure, to changing now how we produce energy and how we use energy.
In the U.S., the regulatory environment, the people is increasingly demanding government and public agency to be more accountable for the action, to use the taxpayer fund more responsible. So to me, blockchain is really an incredible way to track transaction process, to demonstrate a performance-based program, performance-based project. If you say this energy system would deliver such and such benefit, and then a smart contract on a blockchain platform can really demonstrate that, and nobody can manipulate, play around with the accounting book to fix it. So I think this really a powerful platform allow the people to have more access to transparency and also more accountability, both for themselves, the people who govern them, the people who serve them, and vice versa. Sometimes government issue our contract. Let's say government could issue to Eloncity to build a energy system for one of the city. How do they ensure that we actually deliver the energy at the quality we promised. Yeah? So a blockchain is really, with a smart contract, we can spell out exactly the performance requirement, and we can really record that. You can't do that today with your electricity bill. You can't really do that. So that is just one example. So I think the integration of blockchains into energy system and the innovative application with a more comprehensive approach, the multi-phases approach of Eloncity, I think it's really become crucial. We don't necessarily have to be the only one. Hopefully, there will be more people who copy our model if we do it well. But the objective is to have more of this proliferate around the world, whether we do it or people copy our model and replicate that. I think that's equally fine, because in the end, our target outcome is to have a more a performance-based system is more accountable, responsible for what they promise. Because sometimes some part of the world, the cost of living, the cost of energy are increasingly become a burden. So we really need how to use public resource a lot more responsible. So a blockchain, I think, really help us to make a significant step forward in that direction.
Centralized energy systems might have a lot of flaws, but they are already built and proven to be working. Decentralized energy systems might be better in theory, but they still have to be built and proven. Do you see any risks that accompany the transition from centralized to decentralized model?
We're not going to kill the centralized system. We are going to work with them. The centralized system is, like as you indicated, a lot of advanced area. They are relatively stable. I mean, even though their costs are rising, specific in the network delivery fee. So while we are working on the distributed model, the relationship and what develops between these two. What do we believe in this? We can actually help in the centralized system transform. I mean, as we indicated, right, the Moscow and Beijing, New York, and they can produce the energy, their own energy enough. So they're going to have to counting on the power grid and to bring the energy from the large solar farm to from the sea-based or land-based the wind turbine, right? We're not in any interest to destroy them. We actually hope to work together, not only on the rural age of the network, as well as the dense populated area where the energy just isn't sufficiently, isn't produced enough at a local level.
I think the way we answer it is not like centralized versus decentralized. The thing is that all of us are after the same objective. We want safe, secure, reliable, affordable, and equitable energy system for everyone. And certainly, each technology, each architecture has their own strength and weakness. And some of the problem one technology cannot solve, but it can be solved better with the other architecture. For example, let's just say Moscow, you have this guy, wonderful, what is the beautiful, the government is so beautiful that let's just say for sometime in the future, there's so much activity there, there's not enough energy, so they need to get more energy. So what do? Somebody suggests you, okay, because we cannot abandon decentralized system, we need to bring a wire across Moscow Square, run a transmission wire down there, or put a power plant nearby there. Yeah, that is just totally unacceptable. Even technology can do so. So what you do is that, okay, if there is new, let's say, for example, somebody invent a solar rooftop, you can put on this beautiful dome. You cannot distinguish, but you can generate energy locally right there. So that's an example of decentralized technology that augments centralized technology to solve a problem that centralized architecture cannot do. And similarly, we should not just simply go in and tear down working system. If they are already working and they already paid for by the ratepayer for the last 20 years, why do we want to tear it down? We should only put in case the area where centralized grid cannot serve, but there are areas where it might be better just to leverage existing system. So I think the question is that we have to look at the target outcome. Safe, secure, reliable, affordable, and equitable energy for everybody. And when you look at the question from that perspective, there's a role for all kind of technology, for all kind of party to work and to collaborate with each other to really make really a much better system for everyone.
Electricity, I mean, as you explained, right? Yes, and previously the state grid in China, and the president has this grand dream that is going to use 1 million volt and maybe even 2 million volt DC transmission system to turn the entire world into one network. They adopt an energy internet or whatever that translation corresponding to. It's a great dream. I mean, for instance, the electricity produced in the Central Asia can be transported back to support in the night activity. The peak hours is in China. That's actually, I mean, amazing. And then possibly through the Trans-Pacific system, we might be able to support the energy from Asia into United States, and then United States into Europe, right? The cost to build in such ingrained infrastructures, it's not going to be very affordable. I mean, that's the reason why it's in the building this microgrid and self-sufficiency is a much easier way. And then we can always start in small to build a Trans-Pacific system, or I mean, at least in Europe, Asia system. It's just going to cost not billions, probably trillions of dollars. It's not easy to achieve, and that's the reason why. So we have to break this in regulatory barrier, as you suggested. In a different country, how do we work with the government? Suddenly, it's not from people from the United States, right? Because our systems is very much different. That's also a reason why we need a lot of support from the community. With local knowledge, so they know how to work within the system, namely an incumbency, the government, right? More specifically, community, to create this demand, and so that we want our energy independence. So hopefully that can help in making inroad instead of just building. I mean, honestly, it's the building like a small here and there. It's like the small prototype network. It's not gonna fly. I mean, as Michael suggested, we need to have this whole solution in order to get them replicated all over the world.
Let's assume that you succeed in what you're planning to do. Could you give me your vision of Eloncity in this case after 3-5 years, for example?
One thing I hope is that if I drive to town, I will see a lot of community-based renewable generation, whether it is PV panel on a car park, on a flat warehouse, on a flat school rooftop, office. I will see a lot of that. And hopefully I will see more people employed locally to manage to run those local energy systems to support local economy. And I hope that when I drive to a low-income area, I will see a lot of low-income apartment have more of this renewable resource available on them. And I hope that we will see a lot more EV car is receiving the power from the rooftop to help those low-income community to have low-cost transportation. I really hope to see that. And if I visit a trade school and a community college, I hope to see a lot more class in blockchain software technology, classes. Maybe a degree in blockchain technology. Hopefully, if we visit a business department, hopefully there will be 4 more courses on crypto economic. So hopefully those technology become mainstream instead of being afraid of them today. Hopefully they will be embraced to the point we study, we analyze them. It's not like we embrace them blindly, but now we study them and we know how to integrate into our life and to really provide benefit to everyone. So really, I hope to see that. And then at that point, the collaborative technology for energy, hopefully that will spread into other area of our life. And not hopefully energy will be the key part, but hopefully there will be spin-off from that, because the lesson learned from Eloncity, I think equally could be applicable to other part of our life as well. How to use a collaborative, consensus-based technology platform to really facilitate a more shared, regenerative economy.
So if we get somewhere we intended to do since in 3-5 years from now, I'm assuming since then I can probably going to be tens of thousands of developer, if not hundreds of thousands of developer. They're helping build in the so-called Eloncity model, or in the ECTP compliant microgrid. The foundation is going to continue to conquer the new territory. We don't believe we can change the world infrastructures in just that 3 or 5 years. We believe it's going to be a lot of territories, and that we still have to work closely, trying to follow the same model. That we can help and the incumbency helping the people to building a better power infrastructure. And then on top of it, this in the technology-wise is I mean, we don't necessarily have the best in the solution, right? So, for instance, in 3-5 years from now, it's in the solid lithium batteries will be made available. Energy density is most likely double, if not quadruple. So we'll be somewhere close into the energy density of gasoline. That'll be really interesting by then. So if people have such a large battery capacity at much lower cost, and it'll be interesting that maybe we should change the time intervals and to allow to much longer period of the energy exchange as opposed to 3 minutes, right? Because originally we chopped final interval. Like a 5% of an hour is because of the we're afraid that the energy the capacity is not enough, so we chop them into finer pieces. If we on the other hand has a much larger pieces, maybe we should optimize the system. But we already built this in places, and so it's not going to be like an infrastructure change. It'll be just in simple software changes. And then other technology, as we explained, electrical vehicle is going to go everywhere, and then possibly maybe even 10 years, right? Electrical vehicle is going to fly everywhere. And then these is going to require the power from our infrastructure. So how do we support the faster the charging, discharging? By the way, the vehicle in 2-grid technology, V2G, is available today. Except, well, yes, most of the vehicle today, they don't have that technology built in. But I believe it's within 3-5 years, that technology will be available. As we stated in the white paper, electrical vehicle along with the new transport system, it might become in the second power grid, right? The energy transport doesn't necessarily go through the wire. It might be carried by whichever vehicle we have by then. We're not going to change in what we set out to do. I believe it might take 20, 30, 40 years to completely change the infrastructure we have. Again, the idea is not in the utility that we have today or in the centralized power infrastructure. These are supposed to be coexist. We will only make the centralized infrastructure much better than it is today. We believe in we're gonna turn electrical power to be our primary source to be the main source of our primary energy. So that's what I can promise now.
Are there any questions I did not ask but you would like to answer? I mean, anything you want to speak about but you didn't have a chance to?
I honestly think we are pretty extensive. We actually covered in a lot of an area. But again, I want to stress that idea one more time. The blockchain naturally gives us a whole new idea about the decentralization. And then we have the technology to make ourselves an energy independent. The renewable energy is that's something that we have to do now. Whether you believe it or not, in we probably come close to the so-called the point of no return, right? So if we can help and renewable energy gets developed and stepping further, that's what we should do. And blockchain actually helps in this significantly by building this decentralized infrastructure. With all this technology together, we believe we can make distributed renewable energy more affordable than what we are purchasing today from a network. That's the only way we can make it doesn't work.
One thing before I add, I'd just like to come back to your question earlier. If Eloncity is successful, I'll just add one thing in a very layman term. I have an aunt who live in Ho Chi Minh City, quite a relatively dense area. And if Eloncity is successful 3-5 years later, I hope that Ho Chi Minh is also become one of another Elon community there. So I live in California. My neighborhood hopefully is the Eloncity community. And I hope that because I have a bigger rooftop here, I do not use all the energy I have. I have access Eloncity token. Hopefully, I can transfer the token to another Eloncity community in Ho Chi Minh City to help pay for her utility bill because he doesn't have a lot of rooftop space for her own solar. And I hope because she's all retired, and I also because like I said, I collect extra ECT. I hope I can send those ECT to give her a gift of let's say ECTP, Eloncity Protocol Compliance Battery with my own ECT I own over here. I hope that can be used so that she can get an Eloncity battery in Ho Chi Minh City. So I hope really we will not be separated by physical geographical separation, but to common crypto token and a collaborative environment, we can really connect with each other. This would be like a dream for me that would come true.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Michael. And in the end of this interview, is there something you want to tell or maybe to wish to ICODROPS community?
We believe in through the ICODROPS and community, we can reach more people and then help them understand that this is a simple fact and that we're not that far away from our energy independence. We should be the master of our own energy. Hopefully, together, we can make it happen.
Thank you for listening in. And I really hope to hear from the community. Give us idea, give us input, how to perfect this recipe. And especially at this stage, we still need to demonstrate how the model works. So we're really looking forward to get input from the community. Where would be ideal place to do a pilot demonstration to show how Eloncity work in real life? I really hope to get input from the community for that point.
Thanks a lot, Michael. Thanks a lot, Andy. It was a really enjoyable interview. Let me wish all the best to Eloncity from all the ICODROPS team. Thanks for watching, guys. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, hit the bell button, and you will never miss next video. Have a nice day and goodbye.
Thank you. Goodbye.